Welcome to Battery and Critical Mineral Recycling, Retailers and Collection Points, a webinar hosted by the Department of Energy's Office of Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains, also referred to as MESC. Please note that this event is being recorded and may be made available for viewing in the next few days. Before we start, I would like to explain how this event will be managed. As a participant, your video and audio were automatically turned off when you joined. If you have difficulties related to technology, for example, if you cannot hear a speaker or see the presentation slides, we recommend you exit the webinar and re-enter. The public chat and Q&A have been disabled. Refer to the FOA link in the chat, please. Please submit all questions to the FOA email provided at the end of the presentation. Closed captions are available for this event. If you would like to view the captions, please enable them using the closed captions icon at the bottom left of your WebEx screen. Please advance the slides. Let me quickly walk you through our agenda. At the start of today's webinar, we will hear into the Office of Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains. Next, we will discuss the background of funding established by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. Then we will discuss an overview of funding for retailer programs for consumer electronics battery collection and transport. We will demonstrate where to find funding opportunities on the EERE exchange and discuss timelines for funding. We will close with an overview of questions and answers received and information on where to submit further questions, as well as additional resources available for reference. Please advance the slides. Today's workshop will be presented by Amanda McAlpin. Amanda is the Supply Chain Deployment Manager for Critical Materials in MESC 20, which oversees projects impacting battery and critical mineral supply chains. Take it away, Amanda.
Thank you, Tabitha, and good afternoon. Next slide, please. The Office of Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains was created to ensure America's energy economy is supported by clean, resilient, and domestic supply chain. My role in this office is in battery and critical material recycling, and our team's goal is to help secure America's domestic energy supply chain in this area by relying less on foreign imports, by creating more opportunities for Americans to recycle lithium-ion batteries, and to encourage them to think of these batteries as part of a circular or closed economy, and to help support entities like all of you who are doing the work in keeping those batteries and critical materials in our country. To that end, MESC has so far invested in 71 projects over 38 states, from recycling programs to industrial assessment centers to workforce training centers. You can see a few of our key accomplishments in the blue box on the right. Through these investments, we've enabled over 1.3 million EVs per year to be produced, created over 10,000 jobs, and trained over 700 students per year for clean energy positions. While doing this, over 33% of our investments have flowed into energy justice communities. And it's not just our investments. Through our work, over $5 billion in private sector investment has been catalyzed. Next slide, please. At MESC, our goal is to invest in every part of the battery supply chain, and this graphic shows you examples of the kind of investments we have put into every part of it. From the extraction of raw materials through the processing of those materials and into cell production, and then finally pack manufacturing. And then, of course, the final end of life for those batteries, where recycling and reuse is such an important part of keeping our supply chains domestic, and where our funding today is focused. Next slide. The Bipartisan Infrastructure Law in Section 40207 provides funding in the form of grants to support the recycling of consumer electronic batteries and battery-containing devices to help build a robust domestic critical material supply chain for EV batteries in the United States. Today we are talking about topic area 4 of this funding opportunity, retailer programs for consumer electronics battery collection and transport. We have $15 million in funding for this competitive grant, and it does require a 50% cost share, about which we'll go into a bit more detail in further slides. My goal today is to familiarize you with this opportunity and provide you with resources with which to apply. I'd like to strongly point out that the prime recipient on this proposal must be a retailer that sells covered batteries or covered battery products. We will define covered batteries in a minute, but I wanted to emphasize that about the prime recipient. Of course, you may partner with others on the proposal, but it must list the prime applicant as a retailer. We anticipate funding about between 2 and 15 projects for this funding opportunity announcement, with each of those projects being between roughly $1 and $7.5 million. Our anticipated period of performance for a selected project is between roughly 36 and 60 months. Next slide. The objective of this funding is to establish or implement programs with retailers that will provide battery collection. Proposals can address collection, handling, sorting, storage, and transportation of batteries and the electronics that contain them. This particular funding does not cover the actual industrial or chemical recycling part of the process. This is aimed at getting the batteries and electronics out of the consumer's hands and available for recycling. In your proposal, you should address any key challenges with transportation, collection and storage, as well as the communication, training, and public information aspects. Also note that in your proposal, we need to hear the number of collection points that you intend to create or enhance, as well as the quantity of materials you estimate you will collect. Applications are due on April 9th at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'll give you a few more details on actually submitting the proposal in future slides. The link to the actual FOA is here on the slide, and you'll be provided those slides later. I believe the link has also been dropped in today's chat, so it's immediately clickable. Next slide. A few details of what we're asking for in this funding opportunity announcement. We're asking you to create a system for the acceptance and collection of covered batteries and covered battery containing products for reuse, recycling, or proper disposal. A few definitions that may help you as you plan your proposal around your proposed project. A covered battery is a new or unused primary battery or rechargeable battery. A primary battery is a non-rechargeable battery that weighs no more than 4.4 pounds, including alkaline, carbon, zinc, and lithium metal batteries. A rechargeable battery contains one or more voltaic or galvanic cells that are electronically connected to produce electric energy and is designed to be recharged. A consumer product containing these batteries should weigh under 11 pounds and has a watt-hour rating of not more than 300 watt-hours. This does not include a battery that contains electrolyte as a free liquid or employs lead-acid technology unless that battery is sealed and does not contain electrolytes as a free liquid. These are just a few highlights of things that are required and description of the batteries, but please refer in more detail to the actual application as you apply. Next slide. As you prepare your proposal, please refer to the following guidelines in formatting your proposal. Your application must conform to these requirements and must not exceed the page limits listed here, or it will not be considered for funding. Reference the breakdown of page limits as well as the file types as you're prepared to submit your proposal. The highlighted lines on this chart can be found in future slides. Again, this information is listed in the application or the FOA link. Next slide, please. A few more key points for your proposal. Covered batteries are defined as new or unused alkaline, carbon, zinc, and lithium metal batteries or rechargeable ones. Again, the prime applicant must be a retailer that is selling batteries or battery-containing products. As you partner with other organizations for this proposal, remember to structure it so that the retailer is the prime applicant. Please look at the section in the funding announcement for more details, but as a couple of examples, this prime applicant could be a department store selling electronics containing these batteries, an electronics store, or even a chain of pharmacies that might sell certain types of medical equipment containing those batteries, or just the batteries themselves. This proposal does require a 50% cost share in the form of cash or in-kind contribution, and our next slide will cover this more in detail. The community benefits portion of a proposal is important to any application submitted to the Department of Energy. We need to see a robust plan of how this will benefit your surrounding community, and in particular, how it might benefit environmental justice communities. The two links on this slide will provide you with good information and background on how to structure a community benefits plan into your proposal and what to include in it. Next slide. For the 50% cost share, this can be provided by the prime or secondary subrecipients on the project or a third party involved. However, please note that vendors or contractors may not provide anything towards this cost share. The cost share can be made up of cash or in-kind contributions. Costs that qualify as cash contributions are things like personnel, fringe, supply and equipment, or direct and indirect costs. Examples of in-kind contributions are donations of volunteer time or space and equipment. Something where value can be readily determined, but no cash is actually exchanged. However, partial donation of goods and services is considered a discount and is not allowed to count towards the 50% cost share in this proposal. A few other things that are not allowed toward the cost share are revenues or royalties from the prospective operation of an activity beyond the project period, proceeds from the prospective sale of an asset or an activity, federal funding or property, things like federal grants or equipment owned by the federal government, expenditures that were reimbursed under a separate federal program. Also note that you are not allowed to use the same cash or in-kind contributions to meet cost share requirements for more than one project or program. So if you have more than one application that you have applied to for federal funding, please do not use that cash or in-kind contributions to meet both of those proposals at the same time. Next slide. When you go into the link in our exchange system to access the funding opportunity announcement, the link that was provided earlier and also in the chat, this is what you will see. Our FOA number is 2897, and you can do a search for it by going to the Funding Opportunities tab on the left side and then typing the number into the box. When you see the FOA appear, you will click on the title. Next slide. You will then be taken to this page. To reach the actual FOA, you will click on the very first link, the one identified here with a blue arrow and labeled FOA document. You might see that the file is labeled amendment, but you can also see that it is listed as FOA 2897. Directly underneath, you will find the question and answer document. This is a document where all the questions that we receive are listed and answered, and this is a great resource for learning more information. I suggest that before you submit a question to us, you check this document to see if it's already been answered. That will save you some time. The next link is additional forms and templates. A couple of slides ago, I showed you the format that each piece of your proposal should be in. These templates will help you in that area. If you do have a question about the FOA that is not answered in the question and answer document, you may submit that question through this email address. Responses usually come in a 1 to 3 day time frame. To access the teaming partner list for this announcement, click on the last link on this page. Next slide. As we mentioned, the deadline for proposals is April 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The exchange system, where you'll be uploading your proposal, are programmed with hard deadlines and will automatically shut off at the deadline time. If you're having technical difficulties uploading your proposal before the deadline, please use the email address on this slide to contact the support in the exchange system. A couple of notes about submitting your proposal on time. As we get closer to the deadline, there are invariably more proposals being uploaded. Under normal circumstances, we suggest that you give your proposal at least 1 hour and more if you have it. However, as more proposals are being uploaded, this time may increase. So if you're inclined to wait until the last day to submit, please remember this and give yourself a lot of extra time to make sure that your proposal is fully uploaded by the 5 p.m. Eastern deadline. One note is that if you upload your proposal early, you can still make changes to it and re-upload before the deadline. So don't be shy about submitting early. Next slide. So when you're ready to apply, go to the FOA link we provided in Exchange and click on the Apply button. It's just that simple. There is also a user manual linked to this page that is a handy resource. A reminder that we will not accept late applications due to files that are over 10 megabytes, so please double check that before you try uploading. Next slide. Here is a timeline of important dates for this FOA. Please plan for selection announcements to come in the May and June timeframe, and for those selected, negotiations will begin in the June and July timeframe. Timelines are of course subject to change. Next slide. We won't be accepting questions after today's live webinar, as we have a process in place for submitting questions, but I do want to cover a few commonly asked items. If you are interested in applying for this FOA, you should begin by reading through the detailed application in Exchange through the links we've provided. A key item for some of you who may have applied for federal funding through grants.gov, this FOA is not accessible on that platform, and proposals must be submitted through the links we provided through Exchange. Another item that some of you may be familiar with other FOAs is concept papers. We want to emphasize that concept papers are not accepted for this FOA. We have gone directly to the proposal phase. Once we receive all applications on April 9th, a federal consensus board will review all proposals before making selections. Next slide. A commonly asked question is regarding submitting an application that is less than the minimum award amount. Yes, the minimum and maximum award amounts are meant as guidelines, and we will consider proposals that fall outside those amounts. We would, of course, need good budget justification, as we would with any proposal. Is only the primary applicant required to submit the project eligibility statement, or do all subrecipients also need to fill this document out? The project eligibility form is for applicants and is meant to designate the primary applicant as a retailer to be eligible for consideration. Again, your primary applicant must be a retailer selling batteries or covered battery containing items. We also get many requests for meetings with MESC to talk about the proposal, your eligibility for it, or to run a concept by us. However, since this is an open application, no one from MESC office is able to meet with you. For any questions that you have, please refer to the Q&A document on Exchange, and if it is not addressed there, please submit your question through the question link. Next slide. Before we close, I want to provide you with a few additional resources that may help you as you construct your proposal. The Department of Transportation has guidelines for safely transporting lithium-ion batteries, and you can find that on their website. The EPA has many useful resources, but two that might be particularly helpful to you are an FAQ document for lithium-ion battery recycling and one on labeling guidelines under the bipartisan infrastructure law. Again, these slides will be provided to you and the links will be clickable. Next slide. One last reminder, for any questions that you have on the proposal, here are links to the FAQ document and how to submit questions that were not already answered in that document through this link here. Next slide. We want to thank you for your attendance today and for working with us as we build a domestic energy supply chain. If you'd like to connect with our office or join the mailing list, please find us on the following sites or scan the QR code. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.